Hey, good afternoon. My name is OJ Kenyatte Johnson. I represent the Black Moor, and our mission is to educate, motivate, and uplift Black people worldwide and everyone who loves us, regardless of race, religion, or nationality. And today, I have the pleasure of introducing you to a lady who has helped transform my life as a young teenager. A lady who has helped bring me out of my shell and really instill the possibilities of life when I really didn't know as a kid. A lady who's brought so much love, compassion, and hope to countless other teenagers of all races and nationalities. A lady who, if you ever get a chance to meet her in person, the one thing you're gonna know about her is that she has an infectious energy and positivity of life and perspective. It's just amazing. This interview has been an interview that I've dreamed about for 40 years of my life. And today, I get to introduce you to the amazing Dr. Arlene Kaiser. Woo!
Wow,
Amazing.
that is quite an introduction.
Oh,
40 years.
40 years. 40 years.
Wow.
Now, I want to give you your flowers right now. That's what we want to tell the world about how amazing you are.
Oh,
we want to
these
give
are
you these
beautiful.
flowers.
And they are my favorite colors, especially yellow. I love
I
you.
thought you would like that. I did not know,
Yes.
but
Thank you so much.
let me give you a big
Thank
hug.
you so much. Thank you.
Love you so much. Thank you for taking the time to even speak with me. This is amazing. Let me get right into this and tell you guys how I met this amazing lady. Seventh grade. Seventh grade, I had the opportunity to take a class that I don't know how this class got approved. I don't know where it came from. We're going to talk about this, but it is the most amazing class that I've ever had in my life. It was a class called I Can, and this is in seventh grade. I was a little shy kid. I don't want to say low self-esteem, but I was one of those kids that definitely sat in the back of class and didn't want to be picked on until I actually came to this class and met this amazing woman. Um, Introduce us to a little bit about the ICANN program, Zig Ziglar. How did you get this amazing program approved? Just talk to us.
Well, I remember I wanted to teach this class because I had met Zig Ziglar. A fly or something's up to my earring. Anyway,
So you met Zig Ziglar in person?
But way back. I was involved with a lot of speaking clubs. I was in Toastmasters, and then I was in the National Speakers Association because I also like to give keynote speeches and things on my side when I wasn't teaching. However, that was someone that was just promoted, you know, his books, Zig Ziglar,
Right.
See You at the Top,
Right.
and all these salesmanship. And so he was speaking at numerous venues in the area here, and I went to all of them. And I went to the one that was in Oakland, and it wasn't a real huge crowd. I got to sit up front, and he talked, and afterwards I got to go meet him. And he was so personable, so genuine, and he was so positive, all the expressions that he said.
Yes. Yes.
And I thought, I want more of him. So I kept in touch with everything that he was producing, and out was coming a class for schools called the I Can class. Now, there's a lot of programs out there that we as adults get to experience, and then we say, they ought to have this in the schools. Why don't they? And I said, this should be in the schools, and it was the I Can class. So I got all the information, the book, it was being done in a few pilot programs in public schools, and I read it was going to be $350, and I went to my principal, and they said, well, cost is always a problem.
Right.
And then you've got to get approved by the Board of Education and see if the teachers at my school would give up an elective, or I would give up an elective, so there'd be a slot for it. So I went through all of it, and I learned early to give people the opportunity to give. And so I got some money from Rotary International. I wanted to teach it. Then I had an anonymous donor donate the other. So I had the money.
Wow.
And then I went to the school board with my principal's support and said, I want to teach this course. It goes over this and this and this, and kids need this.
Right.
And I've got the support of my school. Can we do it? And they voted it in. And so now we just had a classroom, and I didn't know what kids would end up taking it. But we had a variety of them,
Right.
and developed the program. And you remember the little icons that everybody would make? And we learned positive thinking. We learned about how to change, how we talk to ourselves. And there were all of these wonderful quotes by Zig Ziglar. We'd listen to his tape.
Yes. Yes.
And it was see you at the top.
Daily.
And he would give daily, and he would give you a message.
Yes.
And then we would do our little crafts, and much of it was we get along with everybody.
Right.
You know, you don't always, and it was such a opportunity for the future.
Right.
Because I often ask, how many of your parents get to pick the people they work with in their jobs? And if they don't like them, do they get to move on? No.
Right.
You learn to work with everybody.
That's right.
And so I was really excited about all of the principles that Zig Ziglar taught. And then the highlight was, I don't think it was your class, but he was coming to the San Jose Performance Arts Center.
Mm-hmm.
And I contacted the headquarters and I said, I would like to bring my students, but we cannot afford $250 per person to come.
Right.
And we're in Fremont and we have to get a bus.
Right.
And we'd like to come. Well, they thought about it. They called me back and they said, how would you and your class like to come on stage and introduce Zig Ziglar to the rest of the audience?
What? That's amazing. No, it was not my class. That's amazing.
Yes. And so we got a bus. All the kids, all of us went down. We stood on the stage, and we got to say we're students of the ICANN class. And then in unison we said, and please welcome Zig Ziglar.
Oh my God.
And
That must have been amazing.
He came out, and all the kids, you know, they really got to meet him, sign things.
Right.
And he said, stay here afterwards and I'll sign more of your books. And that was a full circle of
Right.
Zig Ziglar. But I didn't know the impact he had on your life until you called me for this interview. I knew you liked it and all, but you know, if people don't let you know, you just don't know. So thank you.
No, listen, I had to. And I don't know what took me 40 years, you know?
Life.
I just, one thing I remember, like the first time I was in your class, I tried to make an excuse on some homework or something. And I said, you know, I'll do it when I get around to it. You gave me a round disc that said to it on it and said, now you've got a round to it. You've got to do it now. I was like, what? Who is this lady?
And that was from Zig Ziglar. He'd give out round to it. He had all these great things that you could use in your classroom.
Right. It was just amazing. Now, how would you describe the Zig Ziglar class?
Well, I don't have the curriculum in front of me, and it's been over 40 years.
Right.
But I would say that, you know, all kids were welcome. I did my regular classroom management style, which was very helpful.
Yeah.
And then we did a lot of connecting with each other, a lot of groundwork, what it was going to be. A lot of
groundwork.
And then we went through his curriculum. There was a curriculum there the first day, the second day.
Oh, there was?
So
okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So I had a lot of help. Because
it was already kind of formatted?
It was created, yes. And it was just new.
Okay.
Now, I've gone online and looked for it, and I don't see it.
Yeah, I was always wondering how come more schools never teach? Because to me, okay, the class, hit the mic, sorry. The class was incredibly just positive.
Yes.
And really focused on the possibilities of when you focus on positive change and never setting still for whatever your situation is. Like wherever you might be, like I remember we talked about, if I remember how we said it, it was you can't change the situation that you might be in, but you can change the perspective, right? And then your actions to that situation. And that always stuck with me, right? Again, I was a kid that was shy. I felt like I didn't belong, right? I was one of very few Black kids in this school. We talked about I had an afro and I wanted to shake my head. That's not how my hair moved, right? And I was just really, really shy. And I remember a lot of the premises and the slogans, the phrases. I want to read the title of the book here.
Yes.
Let me get it right here.
And this one is still available, and they use it.
Yes.
They use it in sales. They use it. Everybody should read this book.
This is amazing. Now, I've gone on and spent, over 30 plus years in my life in training and management at the corporate level, for, we'll just say, some billion-dollar companies.
Yes.
I'm not gonna say who, whatever. You probably got the apps on the phone. But a couple of things with this Zig Ziglar, see at the top. The book, the subtitle of the book is "See You at the Top," the how-to book that gives you a checkup from the neck up and eliminates stinking thinking and avoids hardening of the attitudes. To me, that just hits home because I always talk about stinking thinking. What makes you, the negative tapes that we play in our head that says you're not good enough, you're dumb, you'll never be anybody. How do we overcome those tapes? And every day I got to come into your class and hear these stories about people whose lives were so tragic, or you would think were tragic, but overcame these obstacles to become great people from all different types of backgrounds. And you always backed up the same kind of lessons that I was hearing at home. But when you hear from your parents, it kind of goes in the out, one ear out the other sometimes. But when I heard it from you and then backed up with Zig Ziglar, again, repetition, doing this day in,
and
day
slow.
Out.
We started very slow.
Yes.
I mean, kids were in that class were terrified to get up and speak in front of their classmates.
Yes.
And we started slow and
Yes.
to make it safe and
Yes.
gentle. And then
Yes.
we decorated our I cans. We get any kind of old
Yes.
can. We would decorate them, and you decorated at home. Whatever you did, you brought it in that was on the table, and we had the principal, the vice principal would come in, and they would pick the first, second, and third I cans. And we'd
I
have,
forgot all about that.
we had little prizes and things. Oh, I got lots of people involved in it, and it was just a slow growing. And I was new to it. I wasn't sure if it was going to take, but here 40 years later, I see that it did.
It absolutely transformed my life, and I've been able to help other people using that same thing. I mean, was it hard for you to get that class approved? Did you have support?
Well,
let's start there.
I could have just quit and said, this is too much effort. I just want to do my regular class. I thought, kids need this.
Right.
Kids need this. What do I need to do?
Right.
And sure, there were some naysayers like, the school board will never approve it. They'll never. Well, I wanted to try. And it's cost too much. Where are you going to get the money? $300, $350 was quite a bit of money in the early 80s.
Yeah. 84, y'all. We're talking 84.
Yeah. And I said, I'll get it somehow.
Right.
I'll get it somehow. And then one thing led to another, and I knew his material was so good, good.
Amazing, amazing. Well, I'm definitely glad that you were able to push through.
Me too.
I do want to tell the honest a couple of, just so you get an idea of what we're talking about. One of the things, and I still use this to this day in my sales training, and I train salespeople. And one of the things I tell people, if you're going to be in a career of sales, you've got to think about the customer first. Right, it's always got to come from a place where you're going to be honest. You're going to have a good product for a fair price. So one of the quotes from Zig Ziglar that I've been using for 40 years is, "You can have everything in life you want if you just help enough other people get what they want." I've got that framed in my offices for 40 years. Like, I've lived that and I've trained that for other people, and through that technique, developed top sales training teams.
And that's tough.
Yeah.
That's a tough one, because, when you're trying to feed your family and the rent is due, and you think, I just want to sell this. I just want to sell it. And I'm hungry. And I know you can't afford it right now. It's not really good, but I want to, and you push and you push.
Right.
And then if you remember this quote, I can get everything in life if I'll just help enough other people get what they want. Mm-hmm. It's not easy. Yeah, I was in sales for a time, and that was not easy, but he is so right. It may come in some other door.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I remember that trigger in my head at 7th grade, because I didn't know I was going to be in sales in 7th grade, but I always thought, well, maybe this would be a situation where if I just let my personality be and I really help people, that I didn't want people to look at me in a racist way. I've had so many people look at me, take one look at me and just think, that's a thug. That's a future criminal. And I'm like, that's not who I am. That's not who I was raised. That's not, and I know you're a woman of faith as well, right? And so I've always thought about, okay, now this is a part I'm trying not to get emotional about, and I told him about this.
But emotions are good.
Yeah.
They're good.
So I'm at this time in my life, I'm in 7th grade, and this is when I believe that people come into your life for a reason. And I believe that God put you in my life and all these other kids at that time when I needed you and needed someone like you that see me and not see me as a thug, a criminal, somebody, some future criminal or something like that. But you saw the potential. You saw more potential in me than I even saw in myself.
And you were so cute as a little 7th grader. You were just the cutest little 7th grader.
I was just trying to make it. I was just, I don't know. And I felt kind of nerdy and, I don't know. You really helped to bring me out of that shell. And we're going to talk a little about that. I do want to go over a couple of these quotes here. And this is stuff that we did every day. So with this book, and in the class, right? The first one is, the book is for those who have been missing much of their good life. It is designed to help you get the extra you deserve and you are capable of getting, right? The price of success is much lower than the price of failure. The average person, this is where I am right now to this day. The average person goes to his grave with music still in him. She instilled that in 1984 in us, and I believe that to this day. That's what brings me to you now. I got music and stuff still in me that I got to get out. What made you just believe in us kids like that?
I picked middle school after I went to all the other grades to see where I belonged. And the little kids scared me to death. They all loved me, but they scared me. And when I met my junior high students and they were, this sucks. I hate this.
Right.
I said, this is where I belong, And I kind of remembered my junior high years, and I knew what teachers, put into you can make a difference. And I believed that with all my heart. And I trained for this, but and I had a rough first experience in teaching that I could have easily quit. I almost did. Well, in a school district, I got the worst 6th grade class in the district. And the principal even said, I don't care if you teach them anything, try to control them. 3 teachers had quit, and I was like the 3rd substitute, and it was February to June.
Wow.
Every night I went home in tears. I graded papers. I did all the things I thought a teacher did.
Right.
And there was no changing these kids around, but I did everything that an Orthodox teacher wouldn't do. I never, ever wanted to sound like a mother. Shut up! Or get in here!
Right.
So if you recall, I was always very calm. I said, may I have your attention, please?
Yes.
So that was a tough one. And my mother wouldn't let me quit. I wanted her to say, this is too much for my daughter. You don't need to do this.
Right.
And she said, no, you stick with it. You stick with it. I'm so grateful that I stuck with it, because I really thought if she really loved me, and I think that's a good message for parents, is it's good to go through a failure or for a tough time. You learn muscles that you don't know you have, and that was Zig Ziglar too. So I got through that year, and I came to our school, and I was scared to death. I said, I don't know if I can go through this again, because I figured it would always be like this. And I remember I went out the door where the kids line up. My heart is pounding. Now, see, people don't know this part. My heart is pounding like I don't want to go back to what it was. So I put my head out and I says, all right, I want the boys to line up here and the girls to line up here. And I closed the door. I went, Right. And then I opened the door and they did it. What? They did it. And they all came. This was not like that awful class that I had had.
Right.
I'll tell you this. If I'd had that class 10 years later, I could have handled it. I didn't have the tools. I didn't have the know-how. And
You were
so,
young and a teaching.
yes, yes. And I didn't want to send anyone to the vice principal because then that'd look like I can't control, it's like politics, kind of.
Sure.
I never had another class like that. And so then when that happened, my first year at Walters, and they were obedient and all this. And of course, I had pistols. A lot of kids were dropped into my class because nobody else wanted them, or they were bad kids, or whatever you want. They'd come into my class, and I'd win them over, some way or another. But the point was, I never had another bad class like that, and it was fun. You guys were so much fun.
Aww.
I mean,
That's from you, though. It starts at the top.
I think maybe I was at heart a junior high kid. I got to do all the fun things that I always wanted to do, but I wanted you to learn skills that would help you in life. Like risk. Zig Ziglar, risk. What is a risk? It's when your mouth gets dry, your pits get wet. Take the risk.
Yes.
And I learned that from that awful class that I had.
Yes.
So there were a lot of lessons that I had learned, and I thought these kids need to learn it. This is an important time in your life. You can go this direction and be the thug and or you can go in this direction and become a salesperson or whatever profession you choose to be in. You have an opportunity, and there's a lot of great opportunities out there. So I think I wanted to model the things that I learned, teach the things that I learned, and I just plain really liked this age. Yeah. I liked the craziness. I liked the one day.
Teenagers?
Yes. The one day, I hate this class. It sucks. I didn't take it personal. Well, come back tomorrow and you might change your mind. We go on. So I belonged there. God put me there.
I'm glad he did, because he put you in my life. Now, I do want to say one other quick thing, because you brought me, you reminded me of something that you said. And this is something I teach in my training classes as well as my kids. And it's the opportunity to learn from failure.
Oh, yes.
Right? Don't be afraid to fail. Like, shoot your shot. Get out there and just try things. Do things. Get out there. Again, this helped me bring me out of my shell when I learned this in your class, that it's not really a failure. If you don't accomplish what you want, you try something to go the way you want it, well, you learn how not to do it the second time around. Right? And keep pushing that. So in my training classes, I tell people, first thing, number one, day one, fail fast. Fail fast. Get up, pick up the phone. Get out there and talk to somebody. And in our training class, some things, I have people literally just go out there and ask people for things that you think they're going to say no to. Why? Just because you get used to them saying no.
Yes.
Get something there. It's that concept that when you instill that to people, that fail fast, don't be afraid. You don't have to be perfect in life. Go out there, accomplish what you want, shoot for the moon. If you miss the moon, don't matter. You're still out of this world. Keep going.
I think that's so true. Failure, false evidence appearing real,
There you go.
Or face everything and recover.
Right.
The other one is face everything and run.
Right. Right.
And I had a lot of failures in my life, and one of them. It took me a long time to share this one, and I will tell this to you. Some point, probably after you had left, I was teaching, and I wanted to go into administration, and you had to get another credential. Now, to get another credential, you had to retake this thing called the CBEST test. It checked you on reading, writing, and arithmetic. I never was good at math, never. And reading and writing, I was good at. So I'm ready now. I took my master's. I'm all ready to become a vice principal, whatever. And I already have like some jobs that would be mine if I would take it. So I took the CBEST test, and I failed the math portion on just a little bit. They would send you a postcard, and it would have graph on it, and it would show you by how many points. And it was like that much. I failed. So now I'm not telling anybody this.
Right.
So I took it a second time. Failed it again. Took it a third time. Now I've gotten a tutor. I've gotten classes from CTA. I'm trying to learn this.
Right.
And third time, it still didn't pass. Took it a fourth time. I still didn't pass. And this is like a year and a half. I'm paying money for the test.
Oh, my goodness.
My esteem in this area and all these jobs are going by. Now, I was not honest. I just didn't have it in me to say, well, I can't do this because I haven't passed the CBEST. I mean, I think then I was starting to work on my doctorate, you know, but I can't pass the CBEST test. And I remember people will come into your life, and some that you want, some you don't. We were standing out in front of my school, and I said, we're having trouble getting substitute teachers. We really need them here in our school. What's wrong? And an administrator said, well, Arlene, we can't get them because they can't pass that CBEST test. And to be honest with you, I don't think anybody has any business in education if they can't pass that test.
Oh, my goodness.
5 times later, I passed it by that much.
Wow.
Now, here is a little bit of information that would have helped me. Fast forward about 15 years later, and I'm in Lake Tahoe, and they have a community college, and my daughter's going there, and she's gonna do some tests on what programs are available. And they have one for disabilities. And I said, can I take this test? And they said, yes, it's just $17. It's worth about $500, but it's $17. So I said, I want to take it. It's going to see if you can do college. I took it, and the math portion was difficult. And I remember a couple times I said, can I close the door? I hear the ticking of the clock. And the proctor said, oh, does that bother you? I said, yes. And then I had to stand up at one point and look at it. Well, we finished it. And he calls me in, and he says, okay, you did well on everything except math. And
yeah, I know.
And you have a math learning disability.
Oh, wow. I
says, I do? When did I get that? He says, you probably had it all your life. I said, then all the times people said to me, this is so simple, right. I couldn't get it. It wasn't me. I had this, and I went through 11 years of college with a math disability.
And never knew it.
And I never knew it. And now I know it, and I share that story. But the point was, I didn't share that with anybody. I didn't want them to know I'm failing this. How can this be? I'm a teacher. I'm working on a doctorate. I'm teacher of the year, and I can't pass the math. I'm not a good teacher. I'm a failure.
Stinking thinking.
Right.
Right.
But what brought me I'm going to pass it. I'm going to pass it. And I did pass it. And then, of course, you know, I learned information about myself I had no way of doing.
Wow.
Or knowing.
Wow. That's amazing. You're an amazing person. Now, I want to make a transition. And now I want to speak to you again about a little other piece of my life and a situation where I don't see any other teacher doing this for these kids at this time. Now, it's 7th grade. Getting ready to be, it's late 1984, going to be 1985. And I am part of a rapping breakdancing group.
Yes.
And where a lot of other teachers thought that we were just out there causing trouble, you're one of those teachers that went out of your way to support us, right? To support these kids who all they wanted to do is dance at lunch. And not only did you support us, you went out of your way, right? And I don't know any teacher, let me look in the camera and say this. She went out of her way to actually help buy us the linoleum that we needed to break dance and do it safely, and the boombox radio that we needed.
Yes.
You literally took us and listen, let's go shopping. Let's go get whatever you guys need, the music you want, the type of production needed. I made sure that I wanted to make sure that we got a boombox with 2 cassettes so we could play and record at the same time. And you went out of your way to support us. Talk to us about what made you support these kids of all different backgrounds that were just wanted to dance that other people thought we were just, again.
Well, first of all, you wanted to dance. You weren't into fighting or doing anything that was troublemaking, and it was something positive. And it was all mixture of kids that were doing this.
Yes.
I didn't understand it. It looked scary to me. And I talked to the principal and found out that, well, if you can't, figure it out, join them.
Right.
So, and I asked a lot of questions, and the kids would explain to me. So I thought, we need the linoleum. So I gave a carpet company the opportunity to give. And so they gave us some remnants of linoleum, and it had to be rolled up.
Right.
And I used, again, it was important school management, someone to be in charge, to roll it up, to roll it out.
Yes.
And then we got the music. I didn't know what the music was. I didn't want any profanity or anything bad. So one had to be the person who would witness if this is appropriate, because I didn't want to get fired.
Right.
And then the kids trusted me, and all I had to do was be out there. Oh, AJ, if you just knew how I would say, please don't hurt yourself, no
Right.
broken bones, no. And I would say, no spinning on the head, no spinning on the head. And the guys were so talented. And so they were so cooperative once you guys got what you wanted to do.
Yeah.
And I was
absolutely.
impressed with how you would jump in and do this and spin and all
Yeah.
of this. Then the bell rang and the team did what they were supposed to, took care of the boom box,
Yeah.
rolled up the, and
Yeah.
then the next day. And the next day I had another heart attack about please don't anything bad happen.
Right.
And nothing did happen.
Right.
So that was how I did it. I was just, and lots of times I was on yard duty too. I might have been working as a vice principal then.
Right.
And I'm going to be out there. And instead of just stop that, I want to go and say, what are you guys doing? Explain it to me.
Yes.
And then I got the support, of course, always of the principal. And that was how that happened.
Wow. What did your colleagues or other teachers think at the time?
They were in there having lunch. So,
Oh,
they were supportive. They knew crazy Arlene is doing one of her crazy
Oh,
things.
my
But
God.
they were very supportive of me,
Well,
they maybe they didn't want to do it, but they'd help in other ways. They'd help in casting plays. They'd come and judge the ICANN classes.
right.
So we all have our gifts and doing it differently. But yeah, I was glad when the bell rang and the
Nobody got
breakdancing
hurt?
was over. Yes.
No broken arms?
Yes.
That was an amazing time in my life. So that was like towards 7th grade, right? And so then 7th grade is over, and I'm determined to transform my life. I'm determined I'm no longer going to be this shy, nerdy kid. Again, I'm going to, change how I look, my hair. Start to get a Jerry curl. So I try to, put on fashion clothes, what I thought was nice clothes or what have you. Before then I was a kid, I just wanted to play in the weeds, jump into the what have you. And so I wanted to make this transformation, right? Now I'm out of 7th grade. I'm trying to make this transformation. I've have you, who's the most positive woman in the world, pouring all this positivity into us. All I know is I got to take any other class that this lady's in. I don't know who, she's amazing. I want to follow her. So then I find out that you're the drama teacher.
Of course.
I'm like, oh, all right. So I guess I'm taking acting classes. I join your drama class, and the first day, I end up meeting my future wife. I didn't know she's gonna be my wife at 14, but my future wife sitting there in the front row. And this class, again, helped to bring more of that shyness out of all of us. And you went out of your way. I want to tell this story about you trusting us so much. You took us to San Francisco, and you kind of let us go for a while, and we went to this play. Now, first off, I want to know, what made you trust all these kids in this drama class to be in San Francisco by themselves?
Well, I think there's a lot of things that you don't realize. I had really excellent school management. If you remember, it wasn't do everything you want in the classroom.
not at all.
I was the CEO.
Absolutely.
I was the boss.
Yes.
And I had all these minions who helped me from
Yep.
answering the phone
Yes.
to passing out papers to bringing books. I mean, I played like I was the CEO and do this and do this. There was a lot of training in
Yes.
all of this. I did not allow put downs of any of
Nothing.
the actors. We had to be supportive. And so school management was very important. So how could I trust these kids? We came into drama. We did drama scenes. We practiced. We worked with each other. You
Yes.
didn't always get to pick who you wanted to work
That's right.
with. And you didn't get to say, I don't know. Do you remember that?
That's right.
I said too many times kids would just go, and I says, no, you never get to say, I don't know. I will stand next to you until you say something.
Yes.
Make up something.
Yes.
And I started with, where's the medulla oblongata? Well, I didn't expect any kid to know this. And I
Right.
say, I'm not going to leave it till you say something. The easiest thing was, or just sit down, because I wanted to break through that.
Right.
And they'd say, I think it's a place in China. I'd say, excellent, excellent guess. It's not right, but you said something.
Right.
So, I mean, these were all kinds of groundwork that I did. So back to the drama class.
Wait, now, did you learn that in like educational classes that taught you how to connect
No.
with them like that? or
I
how?
learned that in working with kids.
Life.
in life and working with kids.
Okay.
And it's not good for other people to say, I don't want to work with this person. Or
Right.
it's not good to take the chicken way out and get up in front and make a speech on how you could use this pencil 22 different ways. The easiest thing is to say, I don't know, and just sit down and I failed. No, you can
That's
come
right.
up with 2.
That's
Clean
right.
your ears, pick your nose, comb your hair, you know.
That's right.
Right, right.
Yes, yes.
So I learned all of this with what do the kids need? What do they need? So we had the ground rules, and then there was an opportunity to see a play in San Francisco, the ACT Theater,
Woo!
and they had a discount for kids. And I forget how I got the money. Lots of times I think parents participated too, but I knew we could get the money. And I would never let a kid miss out because they couldn't afford it.
Never.
Never, never. I would
Never.
find a way.
Yes.
So everybody who wanted to come, and it was like, I think I had up to 80 kids once that I took to San Francisco. Now, you may not remember this part, but we rehearsed like 2 and 3 weeks before going to San Francisco, roll call. And I had someone in charge of this row,
Yes.
this row, this row, this row.
Yes.
And we practiced that like 2, 3 weeks before San Francisco.
Yes.
And it was, when you see this sign go up, you get in line.
Yes.
You know, or you're not going to San Francisco. And what did you do? Everybody did it. Everybody did it.
And nobody wanted to disappoint you.
Well,
Nobody.
I guess they didn't.
Plus, you were a drill sergeant.
I was.
I'm telling you.
I was tough. I was tough. And I never hurt a kid.
Never.
I never put a hand on a kid. I used my voice,
Absolutely.
you know, scare the heck out of you.
Right.
But we rehearsed all of these things that I needed for San Francisco. There would be lunchtime. And I went to San Francisco and pasted out and looked it out.
Did you really?
Yes, I did. Here is for the hamburgers. Here's
Yes.
for the hot dogs. You can go here and here. You may not just go any place you want.
Yeah.
And I said, here's the places you can go for lunch. And then at such and such a time, look for roll call because we're going to go over to the theater. We also wrote on BART. You remember that?
Oh,
and it was
trust me.
Roll call, and everybody had a buddy.
Yes.
You didn't. It wasn't your best friend,
Right.
but you were responsible for. Is your buddy here or not?
Right.
You didn't have to be with them, eat with them, be best friends with them. It was for that day. This is all skills that you know you have in business.
Yes.
Business, life skills.
Yes.
And so every time went to San Francisco, I think maybe one time was 100 kids I took. I had parents too who came with me, you know, and I would say, roll call, boom, 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 boom. And you're right, I gave a lecture once.
Yes.
I gave a lecture. And what was I said? When you're in San Francisco, you don't want to look like
A
what?
tourist.
Yeah.
Walk like you belong.
Yes.
And that's the same thing my parents used to tell me. So again, when you were saying this, it just echoed. And you guys, again, I wish you could see how she walked 40 years ago. It was just a power. This is a woman that if you seen her in San Francisco, Chicago, New York, you knew, don't mess with this lady.
You wouldn't mess with her. And I do that today when I go to parking garages, you know, by myself.
Yeah.
I walk like, don't mess with me, you know. And so I was so impressed with, and all of these kids did it.
Yeah.
They did it. They got on BART. I even said to them, if you see an elderly person, like I am now, if you see an elderly person, you get up and you give your seat. If you see a woman who is pregnant, you get up and you give the seat. Some of these kids never heard of that. They never heard of that. And this was something that it's decency.
Absolutely.
You know, and what Zig Ziglar said, what goes around comes around.
That's right.
What goes around comes around. So I think I did it my first year. Maybe I took 30 kids. The next year it was more. We all went in. They got to see a play. Some of them had never seen a live play.
No.
Maybe we got to understand.
I've never seen a live. It was my first live play.
Yeah, maybe we understood it. Maybe we didn't. And then I got all the kids home.
Safely.
And when the last one was picked up by the parent, I said, whew, never again until next year.
Until next year. All right. Oh, my goodness. Let me tell you a quick little story about this, because that day, right, that we went to San Francisco and saw that play at the ACT Theater, it was so pivotal in my life. It was one of those days where I felt I was building up for years, because, again, I was like this nerdy little kid, I'm thinking, right? We're at Burger King, we're eating. And Julie, my now wife, right? We weren't dating or she's in the group with us, and there's probably like 10 of us in this group. and we're sitting towards the back. And as you can, well, you could see the doorway, you know. So as the door opens, I see a guy who's a homeless guy. He looked like a giant to me, 7 foot tall. In my brain, he's 7 foot tall, army jacket, 300 pounds, and just mean. And he is taking everybody's food as he's walking up the aisle.
Wow.
He's jacking everybody's food, and everybody's scared. Nobody could say anything. And to me, what was pivotal to me, I think this is the moment that my wife noticed me, because I was the only one that stood up on our, combined tables as this guy's coming. I said, listen, if you bother anybody's food on this table, now again, I don't know where I got the courage or where it got the man out of me to come up. I said, but if any of you buy, I'm not gonna tell you what I told him.
Yeah.
But in certain terms, I told him it wouldn't be nice. And he just bypassed us. And I'd seen the look on these kids' face like, oh my God, who is this kid that did this for us? I'm 14 years old. I felt I was 10 feet tall at that moment. I was like, wow. And then I'd seen that spark in Julie's eye. And I didn't know anything about it. And then 30 minutes later, we go to the ACT theater, and I'm going down the stairs, and somebody grabs my hand. Now, to this day, she says I grabbed her hand. I say she grabbed my hand. I don't know, it was in the dark, but somebody grabbed my hand, and she sat next to me through the whole play and held my hand and rubbed my thumb. All I know is I was like, ooh, I think this is a girl that noticed me in Burger King. We went home on BART. She sat on my lap all the way home from BART. I got my first kiss in the office, junior high, while she's calling her mom. And I think I've been in love with that girl every day of my life since that moment. And that summer, she became my girlfriend. And, 28 years later, she became my wife.
Congratulations, OJ. Congratulations.
But it all started at the ACT theater and that Burger King.
See?
We went back and took pictures at Burger King.
See, you never know. You never know.
I had to get that story out just because, again, it made me feel how nerdy I would have never done that. I would have never had the courage to do that younger. So I had to get that point out. So I wanted to have an opportunity to talk to you a little bit about your life after I left 8th grade. I know that you went on to earn your doctorate and then went on to rise in different positions in Fremont Unified School District, and kind of explain what you're doing now. And I definitely want you to talk about your national shoes. You were like this years ago, so we got to talk about that because that was impressive even then. So,
okay, I will start with the shoes.
Okay.
Because in about the early 80s, I noticed that kids weren't participating with the things we talked about with
Right.
Zig Ziglar. And so I one day said in the classroom, students, you need to be able to take risks. Risks are important. And I went on a whole planned rampage. You got to take a risk when they ask you for your job, what you want to do. You want to have a car like I drive? You got to take a risk. And one little boy in the back says, when's the last time you took a risk? I said, well, I've taken risks all my life now. We need to get back to the curriculum. And I went home that day and I thought, my goal was to be congruent. I wanted to be, what you see here is what you see there. And I thought, I got to find a way to show I'm willing to take a risk. What can I do? I went home, nothing came to me. That night, I'm looking all through the house. What can I do? Nothing. And I was even praying about it in my face, saying, God, I need help here. How can I show these kids? So I opened my closet door, and there were 2 pairs of shoes, a white pair and black pair, same style. Comfortable teacher shoes, we call them. So I said, I could wear a white one and a black one, and that could be a risk. And I don't think I'd get fired. I'm tenured, nothing really wrong with this. So I went to school, and I wore them, and people, oh, you wearing it? I says, I am taking a risk. Every class, I'm taking a risk. And one little boy in the back said, no risk here. Everybody knows you're crazy anyway. He said that. I says, okay, what would it take for me to show you? He says, don't just wear them here at school. Wear them when you do that church stuff and when you go shopping at the mall or the movies. Wear them there.
Right.
And I made a promise. I says, I promise you I will wear 2 different colored shoes at least 2 times a week in the community and here. And I did. From that point, I added some other meanings to the 2 different colored shoes. Number 1, they will always match and they're always in good taste. Number 3 was I celebrate that I am unique and you're unique. You're different than me. And I celebrate it by being unique and doing this. And so I taught that to my students. And I said, whenever somebody asks you, and I didn't say you had to do different colored shoes.
Huh.
I said, this week I'm going to wear 2 different colored shoes, not 2 different colored socks, and you don't have to, but if you want to, it's taking a risk.
Right.
Take a risk.
Right.
And one little kid came up to me and she says, I went to New Park Mall and inside I opened up my umbrella and I walked through it. I took a risk.
Yes.
I said, good for you.
Yes.
So every May 3rd is National 2 Different Colored Shoes Day. And there's schools all over the country who do this. But the main reason is I'm wearing these to celebrate your uniqueness and my uniqueness. Kids write papers on this. Kids do cartoons.
It's amazing.
And they have their pictures taken. But OJ, the smart thing, their faces are never shown. They're just
the
taking
shoes.
pictures of all their little feet with 2 different colored shoes. So that's the shoe story.
That's amazing.
Then what happened after that? Well, yeah, I got my doctorate, and you don't have to be smart to get a doctorate. You just have to be persistent.
Wait. Say that one more time for the people in the back who didn't hear it.
You don't have to be smart to get a doctorate. You just have to be persistent. And that's a quote directly from my mother, because I said I couldn't pass the CBEST test. I'm not smart. I'd love to get my doctorate because I love the learning.
Yes.
You know, and then you can't go any further than that. So she said, well, you don't have to. And there were classes where I don't want to do it like this, but it's like having a boss or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You want to do this, you do it. It's like, yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
And so I took my 3 years while I worked and got my doctorate in school management and administration. So I thought, I think I'd like to do something different than be a teacher. I know. I'd like to be principal, because you can have coffee all you want and you go to the bathroom anytime you want, and you can have long lunches.
Right.
I never got to go have a long lunch.
Right.
And I got to see the realities of it. And so I did that for a time. I did it in the junior high and I did it in high school.
Where were you principal at? What school?
I was vice principal at Kennedy and at Walters and Hopkins. So I got to experience it. And it was interesting and I liked it. And I said, but my heart's in the classroom. I really wanted to go back to the classroom, but I did this. And then there was an opportunity. At that time, I was still doing professional speaking for different school districts, because I had substitutes that wanted to come and be a substitute for my class. That's unusual. It was because I had such a great management style, and the teachers, the sub-teachers, were treated with such respect. How was that?
Right.
Well, it was my school management. And then I said to the students, students, I want you to go home and ask your parents, whenever they've done a good job, what happens at work? Do they get any kind of celebration? And come back and report.
Right.
And my students, as you recall, I would say, tell your parents this is public.
Right.
You're going to share it. So kids would come back and they'd say, oh, they had donut day. They got off school or work early. They got a bonus. They got this. I said, let's make a list of how I could celebrate your participation and choosing to be responsible with a substitute. Let's write them down. And so then they would come up with, well, could we listen to our music? Right. I said, well, how am I going to know it's not going to get me busted and I'll lose my job? Right. And they'd say, well, we have so-and-so who knows the words and could tell you if it's okay. I says, could you do? Okay, so we put that up. Right. And who would be? We wrote down a list of things. Could we have just some free time? How much? Could we have 10 minutes? All right, 10 minutes. You know, I wrote all these things down. Can we leave school early? No, you cannot. Right. Because Ed Code 1742 says you cannot leave early. I wrote that down. Right. So they made a list. Could we have pizza? Oh, you mean like a pizza party? Well, maybe. So I wrote that down.
Right.
Wrote down all these different things. And then the substitutes would grade my students on how they participated on a scale of 1 to 10. So there was a chart there. Why am I gone? I am speaking at another school district, a school event,
right.
You know, for education.
Sure.
And this was good for our district. I had the permission, and there was no problems at school,
Right.
you know. And so the subs would come at the end of that period. She'd say, I rate you all a 10. You were outstanding. So I would look and see 10, 10, 10, 10. I says, that's a celebration. Let's have pizza at lunchtime. We'll supply the pizzas. The kids would come in because they chose. They made the choice to cooperate. And so,
You do realize I don't know teachers that have that philosophy.
well,
Like that mentality.
I think it just came from, all my experience in the business world. And, I wanted them to, when they answered the phone, I said, when you answer the phone, I want you to say, hello, we're having a great day in Dr. Kaiser's class. May I help you? And you answer like that, whether you broke up with your boyfriend, whether you're not happy, whether you're mad, you want to quit school. Because don't you have to do that in the real world?
Absolutely.
As a worker?
Absolutely.
So I was building a life. And I also told my students at the parent conference, I said, every day you should be able to ask your student, what did you learn in Dr. Kaiser's class? What? Now, they wouldn't always be nouns, pronouns, or acting. What? And if ever your student says nothing, I'll give you my phone number. You put your student on the phone, and we'll have a conference together on the phone about what they didn't learn. Because every day, I would say, so what'd you learn today? And they would say things like, well, how to answer the phone, or you have to act professional even if you don't feel like it.
Right.
So I always felt I was not just teaching a subject, I was relating to students to prepare them for life. And these would be skills. And the last one, I had a student.
You're making my heart melt right now. I'm just going to let you know.
I had another student who contacted me years ago, and she said, this changed my life. Remember how you told us, when you're sitting in the classroom in the seat and I'm lecturing, I want you to act interested, even if you're not. You can be thinking about lunchtime, I'm going to have hamburger, French fries. I want you to lean forward. I want you to look like you're very interested and take notes and pretend. I don't care what's in your head, but look like you're interested. Yes. She said she used that in all of her business conferences, and it helped her tremendously. She just acted interested. It really was a turning point.
Absolutely.
So anyway, after that, I went into the BITSA program, which was to help teachers in their training and help them with things. We had a curriculum, and I did that. And then it was kind of like a tap on the shoulder, like, your work is done here. Your work is done in the school district. Mm-hmm. And I had done some classes for the university, and I did a lot of professional speaking. And it was like I was done. And I retired from that. And then it was time to take over the family business, which I never thought I would. And all that I do now is I manage the family's real estate portfolio. I'm not a real estate agent. It just means that there's properties here and here and here. And I have a great team, just like I taught in the ICANN class.
Right.
I've got nourishing people, not toxic, nourishing people. I have a ranch manager, a vice president. I have people, good people I can bounce ideas off. And I really, really need them. I'm very involved in my church. I travel a lot, and I have horses, and I have a wonderful pool, an environment where I can stay and get healthy. And so my husband passed away 6 years ago. My mother just passed away. And how can I be sad? She was 3 months short of 104. And she was still communicating with me.
104.
Yes, yes, yes. So the word is, I might live a long time. So I'm glad you caught me at this stage of my life.
Absolutely. Now, you mentioned your mom. I got to get this on camera. Her mother, and this amazing, amazing woman. I don't really remember meeting her mother, but her mother ran a
pregnant minors program.
Yes. What was it? It was called the
Young Mothers Program.
Young Mothers Program, where my little sister ended up being in this program at 15 years old and having to transform her life to become a responsible mother and get her life back on track. And your mother was instrumental in helping my little sister get her life on track and getting her a scholarship to help her whatever she needed. I don't know what it was or whatever, but did your mom instill some of this philosophy? Is that
so
where it
much
came
of
from?
this, so much of this.
Really?
You know, she was from a family of 12, and she taught me a lot of things by her example. And, you know, in the early 60s or 70s, when she moved to Fremont, perception was if you're pregnant and you're not married, we don't want you in school here.
Yep.
We want you go away,
Yep.
go away. And Fremont was very innovative and said, no, we can't do that. And my mother came and said, these kids need to be taken care of. And so there was a program because she was the school administrator, she was a registered nurse, and she was a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And so she worked in that program, and that's where her heart was. And she got grants, and she got all kinds of things to help these kids and their fathers, the fathers too.
Oh, really? I didn't even know that. Wow.
Oh, yes, the fathers were involved in this too. So her perspective, kind of shadowed on me, and I talked a lot of these problems over with her.
You did?
And yes, and she would help me.
Wow.
So it takes a village.
I believe in that. That's in my whole heart. It takes a village.
Also, I've got to just say the people at Walters Junior High, I was crazy. They came to help me cast my plays, and they supported me. I got to be me. I could have been squelched, but they were so supportive, and I will forever be grateful to the district as well as the teachers.
We all felt that because then you pass that on. Before we conclude, I gotta ask you about this because let me just put it this way.
Just ask.
Let me just say it. Well, first off, let me preface it this way: that I strongly believe that God puts people in your life at certain periods of your life for a reason. You are definitely one of those people that I think God put in my life to back up what my parents were already saying as well.
Yes.
But somebody who wasn't my parent, that had a wholly different perspective on life, and who saw me, who got me, who seen me when I think everybody else, not everybody, but a lot of people were just judging me based on this outside of what they saw and who they thought I was going to be, a thug, a criminal, or what have you. But you got us, and you instilled so much hope, in us. And I think that comes from God. So talk to me a little bit about your faith.
Oh, my faith is so important to me. I am of the Christian faith. I'm a regular churchgoer. That's important. I need my family there.
Mm-hmm.
And I was a Christian from the time I was little, but there's times, when you slip away. And I sure needed him when I was trying to pass that CBEST test. Because I used to say, God, it's A, B, C, D. Move my finger to fill in the right bubble. There's things like that. Or, God, here's my list. Do
right.
it. In that class that was just awful. But he's been such a big part of my life. And I agree with you. You're put in places where God is going to let you learn some things. And of course, the scriptures help me a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Like Psalm 139 is my favorite. How he thought us up. He was there when we were being created.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, Romans 8:28, good will come out of this for the Christian,
Right.
And, if it's against the law to pray in schools, I prayed all the time. Prayed, break dancing, prayed. I don't know what to do with this kid. What's going on?
Right.
I don't know how to handle. And sometimes as vice principal, it was like, I am Solomon. This one comes in, tells their story, and I said, I believe you. You're right.
Yeah.
Then the other one comes in, no, I believe you.
Right.
Who is,
Right.
wisdom. So no, I'm so grateful for my path after all these years and all the tools that I got from the hardships, the celebrations, and to have a student like you that came back to tell me this. You have no idea how this just touches my heart. I mean, this goes into my journal, and I'm so glad you acted on it. And wherever this goes, I hope it might touch somebody's heart that don't give up, and increase your faith and take these good things to your family as they need it.
Oh, you're going to be in my future book too. I'm just letting you know.
Good.
Well, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to spend this time with us. Kind of let me introduce you to my people who don't know who you are and tell this amazing story about this amazing woman who's had this amazing effect on my life and countless other kids, over the last 40 plus years, probably even longer than that. Well, I don't know when you started teaching, but you're just an amazing woman. I wish you the best of luck. I love you forever. You'll always be in my
Thank you.
heart, in the hearts of your students forever.
And thank you for the flowers and coming here. I love this. You know me, I love to be on camera. I love the bright light. I love it. I would be denying it if I said, oh, I hate to do this. Or it's like someone gives me a microphone and they say, here, I know it's scary, isn't it? Are you kidding? Give it to me. I'll speak to 1,000 people. You know, be who we are and you be who you are. And thank you, OJ, for honoring me with your time and our videographer.
Ah, yes, yes. Royal West. Royal West. Yes, yes. Production. They got you covered. That's it. You're just amazing. Thank you
That's
for your
it.
time.
Thank you.
Just amazing. I got to give you a hug.
You got it, of course. Now, I don't want this to be the end. You got to bring Julie and we got
Oh, I will. Oh, absolutely.